And you can hear me okay. My brother Mike is in the back. He yells at me if I'm not doing the right thing. Not as much as I yell at him.
Yes, that's right.
Well, welcome to Branchville Borough Historical Society. Today we are going to go through the Branchville Host Company #1. I have to say that I was very excited to do this. The more I looked at it, the bigger it got. It's crazy. This fire department, known as the host company, the history, the amount of information is just, it's too much. You'd have to write like 10 books about it. So I'm gonna skim through a lot of things, tell a couple of stories, and thank a couple of people. And if you have questions, there are some firemen here that could answer them, I'm sure, even though I can't. The biggest question right now is who's that guy walking across the front of the firehouse door? I don't know. Figure that's probably in the 70s by the look of the car. And Bedell's Sporting Goods and Auto Supply is still there, and Johnny's Barbershop is there. So that's what we see. And it's 115 years since the establishment of the host company, and let's go. Back on January 13th, which is a Sunday Herald, this is what happened. This is the report in the newspaper, that the mayor and the town council met, and they made a resolution that we could have a fire department in town. So the host company was born at that meeting. And at that meeting, the mayor and the council approved that Wilbur Dye, a name I don't know, Wilbur Dye would be the chief, and Charles Crispin of the fame of the Crispin Dam and Power Company, the powerhouse, he was the assistant chief. And the rest of these names in here, I'm going to go to the next slide, you'll see who they were. Oh, no. First we get to the first meeting. The next day, Monday, was the meeting of the firehouse. I'm off camera now, I know. Here's the actual book. We didn't take it out of the box, but that's the first meeting minutes are there. And it just talks about who got appointed into the firehouse committees and who's in charge. But this is the list of the first members of the fire department as of that meeting. So we have Wilbur Dye, Charles Crispin, Marcus Bond's Pond down on Wanajah, John Compton. The Compton Farms was a big part of Branchville back in the earlier days. Ralph DeGroat, I don't know exactly where he is, but certainly I know enough DeGroats. Howard Dye again. O.H. Ellett, the Ellett family has been around forever. They're the family that owns or did own part of the Church Hill Cemetery property up there. Martin Hill, two Layton boys, Clarence and Jason, and our lock burner, Joe Reed. That name is always, the Reed family has been a big part of Branchville, so that's in there. Ernest Rowe, another huge name in Branchville history. The Rowe family owned the Pines and the farms in the area, and what we know as Roy Company was the Rowe Company to start with, so they've been around a long time. A Struble, a Vaness, a Westbrook, and Mr. O.M. Whitaker, whose name is on a lot of these documents because he was the secretary. We also found they have this, really what happened is Tony Fredo let me into the firehouse, and then I started taking pictures of all these books, and there's so many photos. So I took a picture of this, this is the bylaws thing. And then I stole some pages out of it and went home and read them, and then I stole some other pages and had photocopies made because they were too good, or actually photographs made. So this is how I got a hold of this stuff. Now this is the bylaws from the 1926 book. It includes the Ladies Auxiliary. Now the Ladies Auxiliary, there isn't a lot of information about them back then. Keith Whitehead thinks that possibly they established an auxiliary. There had to be somebody that cared about doing it, but it didn't really last that long for whatever reason. And then, this is the page inside the book. They were organized, the auxiliary was organized in 1925, and their object or mission, the object of this organization shall be for the mutual improvement and promotion of such social and public interest as always seem best for the host company and the community of Branchville, thereby uniting all as one society. Lovely. That's what we do. We auxiliaries do that. Now, the first piece of equipment, this is, I learned a lot about this today. This is out in the hall. And it's not original to this firehouse. Our first hose was one that was pulled on from a horse, right? It was in a wagon pulled from a horse. That ended up burning in a fire. I don't have the history of that, that's okay. This one was up in the attic for years and years, and then they needed it in a fire parade for Sussex, Keith?
It was a county parade.
County parade, okay. And so they took it out of our attic and painted it up and fixed it up. And it has always come home with a prize. This was only one of 2 hoses that was in that first parade, and we came in number 2. But I'm okay with that, because it got a prize. So, and it's a small one because it's called an industrial hose cart, because it can come into a building. It's small enough to get in the doors and put fires out inside. So, little trivia. Now, I'm going to go forward a little bit. I'm talking about that. That is what I'm going to be talking about. The 1924 American LaFrance Brockway Torpedo. I did a little blurb on this last October. This truck, which is in our firehouse bay right now, was outside of the museum for last October's historical weekend, the County Arts and Heritage Festival. And I kept ringing the siren and pulling the bell string because it's really a lot of fun. But in doing that, I went into the minutes books, and I'm reading all about the stuff that was going on with this thing. And I know there's too much up there to read right now. If you are really interested, I have the same thing over there, along with pictures of the they call it the torpedo, taking Mike Bedell's casket to the cemetery. So this has a lot of history in our thing. Mostly though, what I really dug into, because we're all members of groups and organizations, and we all fight. Come on, we all like, no, that's not right. What are they doing? Da, 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 da. We all fight about stuff, and then we come out the other end saying, this is okay. So Charles Chrisman was, at this point, the chief of the fire department, of the hose company, and they were meeting at the powerhouse. The original meetings were happening at the Ladomo Hall, which was the old Grange, because we have a cornerstone for that, I think it says Ladomo on it. The Ladomo Hall was the old Grange, and then they would meet at Chrisman's powerhouse, and they met at Cook's Hall, which is the upstairs of Johnny's Smoke Shop, now the Flag Store, and the Cuban Queen, delicious, go eat there. And so they met at a bunch of different places, but the powerhouse was Chrisman's place, so he brought them there, and they're meeting there, and they're meeting there. All of a sudden, Chrisman calls a special meeting, 3rd line down, on March 21st, 1924. Quote, no business done and adjourned. That's what it said in the minutes book. Then a week later, on the 28th, another special meeting is called to accept the resignation of Chrisman, because I think he's like, I'm quitting. You guys are buying that truck? I'm quitting. We don't need no stinking truck. That's what I think happened. I make stuff up though, so it could be very different, but I like my story. And then, what did we go to? So on April 1st, he was resigned as the fire chief, and on April 11th, Nathan Current, was named the new chief, and on May 9th, they held a meeting to discuss how to raise money for the fire truck. May 21st, they met in a new location of the American House Hotel, because they'd gotten kicked out of the powerhouse. If Chrisman wasn't going to be the chief, he's not letting you come into his powerhouse. Get out. And they had the guy from American LaFrance and a guy from the Larrabee fire truck companies to come and present their trucks, and they picked the Torpedo. Thank goodness, because it's such a cool looking truck. And the Torpedo was delivered by train on boxcars, and all the equipment that came along with it, and it was not to be opened or touched by anybody here. It came into this station, we're in the train station right now, not to be touched. The American LaFrance guys had to come and unload it, put it together, make it workable. That's their warranty thing. So now this fire truck is sitting on the same location where it was offloaded. So it's home. I think it's pretty cool. And I'm sure if you want, you can go in the back garage and people open the doors. You can go look at the fire trucks. So there you go. That's that cool story. There she is, from Elmira, New York. Now we need a place. We've been in a fire company since 1910. We don't have a place. We had, I guess they probably stored, I'm making stuff up again, they probably stored the equipment in the powerhouse until they got kicked out of there. I don't know where they put all their equipment. But we don't have a firehouse until 1938. This is 1927. Susie Hopkins, another favorite name. The Hopkins name, Noah Hopkins, owned the lumber that is now Stokes State Forest. He donated it to the governor of New Jersey, Governor Stokes, but he clear cut it. You can have this land, but I'm taking all the wood. And he built most of uptown in Branchville. He built the big Victorian houses and the smaller ones across the street on Wantage Avenue from the church down. And he built the big house up on the hill that Ruthie Risden grew up in. So I don't know if you're familiar with all these places, but so his widow sold this little piece of property uptown to the town of Branchville. The town of Branchville then allows the fire department to build on it, but it takes them another 10 years before they can do that. After they get this firehouse built, and we all know the firehouse uptown and how loud the siren could be and blew your ears off and got us in trouble sometimes. The fire company outgrew it. It was one bay. It was just little. And they actually bought the Chevron station next door, which is gone, but they used the Chevron station garages to hold a couple other trucks. When it became so much outgrown, the town and the fire company owned the building, but they did not own the property. So the town swapped out this property that they owned, because the train station used to sit here, for the property and the house, the firehouse uptown. They took the firehouse and made it the town hall, and then the fire department got this and then took out a mortgage and built this hall, this great hall. So that's pretty much how the homes moved around. There's some pictures of this building being built in that. There's a photo album there. But wait till you see what I got. I stole this from the photo album. I'm giving it back, but I stole it from the photo album. I don't know if H. Herdman is the same as Alan Herdman. I think it is. Does anybody know? No. I'll have to look into that. Anyway, these are the construction pictures of the firehouse. Here we go, close-ups. There's the original property. Now, that's, I don't know what to call it right now. Bedell's Liquors is over on this side, but it wasn't Bedell's then. Then there's this little tiny, my pointer isn't working. Mm-hmm. There's a little tiny building right next to it. It's kind of looking a little shabby. Then further down is the barbershop, Johnny's Barbershop. Can you see that? So that little building has to get taken apart and knocked down. That could be one of two things, or maybe the same thing. It could be our original post office building that is now down in front of Mary Sutphen's house, the little house on Mary Sutphen's. It also might be, it looks exactly the same if it's that one. It's got the center door and the two windows, and they're those longer windows. It could also be the Domino Club. Now, if Bill Bathgate were here, by the way, Beverly Bathgate is home recovering from all of her health issues, so that's really good. Bill did a whole thing on the Domino Club that used to meet, and I think he told me it was in the building next to where the firehouse is. So anyway, that has a little bit of history, even though I don't know what it is. Then they knocked it down, and they start building up the walls. You can see the bricks going up on that side. This is in February. Now we got 2 stories up, but we don't have a roof. I love these pictures. You can see the big roof off of Jerry's Luncheonette, and oars and all that jazz. Wait, you know what I didn't talk about? See the fountain service that's hanging off of the Herzenberg's pharmacy. So, and then we got snow, but there's a roof on the building. And I feel like the same car is always there. Do you notice that? It's pointing in different directions, but there it is.
Yeah.
And now in April, they're almost done. And you can see the big white part above the one bay garage, and that's where the sign gets put. And there's, in these minutes books, there's a whole bunch of things about where they're going to get the sign, how much they're going to pay for it. And it's just, the minutia that's in these minutes books is really interesting. It's pretty cool. And then they have this hall upstairs. So the hall upstairs is a big deal. This looks like a New Year's Eve or a Christmas party. There's lots of stuff going on there. And the town council met up there, and the kindergarten was there for a number of years. Did you go to kindergarten there?
I did.
Joyce Tiller. You did too? You went to kindergarten there? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So the kindergarten was up there. You had to climb those stairs, get up there. Did you have a nice teacher?
I asked for Leighton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Leighton was
Very
Leighton.
nice.
So it wasn't there all the time, because I think what happened is that the population grew and they didn't have room to house all the students in. So at some point, that kindergarten was also in this building that was part of the Presbyterian Church. There was an old building out there, an old home. So I have a picture of Joyce Twilliger outside of at the bottom of the kindergarten, but you can't see the kindergarten house. You can only see the Lawler's meat shop there, the deli. And she's with her whole kindergarten class, all 8 of you. World War II comes along. And this is really only, 4 years later. See me count on my fingers? And these guys are out playing cards, hanging outside the firehouse, and the stars are in the window. And Dave Bathgate gave me this picture. This is great, 2 pictures. And then he gave me the names of the people, not necessarily who those stars were at that moment, but the names of the people that were in the serving in World War II at that time. But I love this picture. And that's Mayor Decker. Dave Bathgate told me that's Mayor Decker with his back to us. I said, how the heck do you know that's Mayor Decker? He goes, it just is, so. He knows. So those are the names of the firemen who served. Scotty Conklin, Dutch Decker, Tommy Decker, Harry Doremus, Bob Emmons, Clark Perry, John Robeson, and Alan Wood. And outside of this building on the wall outdoors is a big plaque that has all the people in the citizens of the town of Branchville that served. It's an interesting, I saw it yesterday because I was waiting to come in and meet with, no, was it yesterday? Friday? Yeah. Anyway, I was waiting to come in and I read the names. It's pretty cool. Now they purchased that Chevron gas station. This is the Mac. I have to tell you, the Torpedo is cool. It is. This Mack truck is so fun. And there's so many pictures of it because the guys loved it. So they took a lot of pictures of the Mack truck. They took a lot of them. And that bell is out in the hallway. The one that's on the side right there.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, the Chevron had 2 bays for a garage so they could store the trucks in there. And now this is where we are today. So we have 4 bays. We went from 3 bays to 4 bays. The trucks. This was a big deal. I had to talk to Tony. I talked to Keith, but Kyle Whitehead, who cannot be here today, he was double booked. He knows these trucks like the back of his hand. And his wife told me, oh, he knows every station's trucks all around here. He knows his fire trucks. But anyway, these are the trucks that there have been, and in some cases still are, in our fire department, in our hose company. We've got the hose cart out in the room, out in the hallway. The other ones that we still have, we have a Grumman pumper that was, I'm going to get to them. I've got pictures of most of these. So there's a lot of trucks. Who's that?
Albert?
Albert Davenport. Who's the other guy?
Mr. Decker.
Mr. Decker? As in Tommy Decker?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's Tony Fredo over
Yeah,
there.
I think so.
Joe Bartholomew.
And Joe, okay. I think so. I think I have a picture coming up of Joe Barthel losing a game of tug of war, so let's see. And then Dave Bathgate's taking the torpedo out for a spin, but he didn't dump it in the brook. He was good. I love that picture, Dave. I think that's great. Dave was a former chief. The new Mack fire truck arrives on, I don't even know, but this is Thursday, March 21st, 1940 is this picture in the Herald. I have this picture again, the original one that they sent to the Herald. I love this picture because it's on Mill Street, and you can see the garage that they just knocked down when they had to finish up the new Selective Insurance building, and then the two sides of that house with shutters, that's Park Place, and then the spire of the Methodist Church is behind that. A little heavy on my finger there. Same picture. And one of those guys is Lou Donadio. Like, you know what? It says, at the wheel is Fire Chief Louis Conklin with Clyde Campbell and Louis Donadio. Lou Donadio is famous in my world because he was the original supervisor of buildings and grounds and maintenance and custodians at High Point Regional High School.
His joke was, when he was in the fire department, his joke was that they saved every foundation, never lost a chimney.
He would say that to you?
Yeah.
You worked for him.
Yeah, he was my boss.
Oh, my gosh.
He said they saved every foundation and never lost a
Saved
chimney.
every foundation, never lost a chimney.
There are some pictures in those books of exactly what you just described, where there's a foundation and a chimney. That's funny, Mike. And there's the Mac. This is at Ross's Corner, Dave told me. This is from Dave Bathgate also. There was a Bedell's at Ross's Corner.
That's on there.
Okay.
That one, I don't know who's driving.
Yeah.
Is that Johnny said?
It might be John Asetta.
Pardon?
It might be John Asetta at the wheel.
I don't know.
He doesn't know who that is. That's the Mac, and I just found it interesting because when I first saw the picture, I said, well, that's right uptown. He goes, no, that's at Ross's Corner. And I said, Bedell's. Then I realized it does not look like Bedell's in the middle of town, so it can't be. Great shot, though. Branchville Hose Company #1.
They were probably going to a parade then.
Looks good. It looks good. And then I figured I don't know why I picked the 1970s. I just did. I don't have any basis for that other than it's brightly colored, and I just figured it's going to a parade. Now we get to the 1957 Ward LaFrance. This is a pretty cool truck too.
Wow. That's different.
There's the Ward. They just call it the Ward. Look, this is the Ward. This is a picture of the Ward. Yeah, we got the Ward. The Ward's in that, they just call it the
No heat or
Ward.
air conditioning.
It was what?
No heat or no air conditioning.
No heat, no air
In the
conditioning.
summertime when you had the roof off and the only heat you got was a little bit from the engine.
From the sunshine.
That's
It's a beauty.
Don't do a fire.
I have to tell you, they got all these pictures in the hallway there. This place is a museum. If you ever just get a chance to come in here and walk around and read the names on the plaques and see the pictures, I said I'm doing a lot about the trucks because that's what everybody cares about with the fire department. There's the truck. Look at that truck. Listen to that truck. Oh, here come the fire trucks. I mean, the truck is the thing. You bring the kid over to look at the fire trucks. I mean, they just love that. Or they're scared to death of them, but it's the truck. Here comes the Ward. Out of the old firehouse. Some guys on it. Now the Han. This is another one that has the name. The Han. the Han, 1976. Originally, when it first was purchased, and you'll see another picture of it just after it was first purchased, you probably saw it on Facebook already. It was a 500-gallon tank. So see where the top of the back end comes up against the back window. It's kind of low. Because I'm going to show you another one. They have it refurbished to make the tank bigger. So, and painted it a little bit brighter. But that's the Han. And that's enhanced. It's a little taller, brighter. But still the Han. And that's the Han in the brook. So, as the story goes, we'd only had it for a short while. It had not been through its wet down yet, right? Not been there. Brand new truck. Now you can tell where it is because you can see the Chevron station garage in that first picture, way up to the back. And then from a different angle, you can see the old bank, now the bookstore. So, Mayor Jerry Van Gordon drove it out, parked it in the parking lot where I used to park to go to Dave's and third base, and somehow it got away. The brake was off, or the slipped out of gear. The story was never that clear, but it went. It rolled, and nobody could do a thing about it until it came to a stop on its own. That was only a little, it was a brand new truck. So.
That's also the reason why most of us that were in the department, after that time, there was only about 5 authorized drivers. Seriously, I don't think Keith, well, probably by the time you got in, you were allowed to drive. Wayne would know the story more too, right? Wayne? Nobody, how many, what was it? Dad, Joe, like 5 people, right? Basically, Donnie, yeah. It was very much hands off.
Hands off the
Yeah.
truck.
I learned to drive in Pump to Ward, but not that one. Not until later on in time when there wasn't enough drivers, and we were finally starting to be able to, drive it.
Somebody on Facebook, and I can't remember the name, it didn't register, and they said something about that's why mayors aren't allowed to drive the truck anymore, something like that, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, there it was.
Jerry never lived that down either.
Oh no, how could you? How could you? And no disrespect, living or dead, no disrespect, it happened, but glad it didn't happen to me, that's all. And then we get the Grumman pumper, HME Grumman pumper. This was purchased from the Sanderson Sanderson Fire Department. And it is now we still have it. It's still running in our hose company. This picture, where I have these 2 pictures, one facing each other, I took them in the garage the other day. Then the fire sticks, the KME. I don't know, did you call it the fire sticks or the KME? Nothing? KME, yeah. They all had their little nicknames, so everybody knew, if you were in the deal, you knew what it was. It's a ladder. And then the Smeal. They got the Smeal. That's got the black top on it. And this one is still in our firehouse. It's the Seagrave. Here's a question that got asked of me a bunch of different times, and I think yesterday or this morning. Why are fire trucks not red anymore? Or they're red, or they're yellow, or they're green? Nobody knows?
I looked it up.
Okay. Oh, it was Ann. Okay.
I looked it up after we talked this morning. And in the beginning, of course, they were drawn by horses, so they didn't have a lot of stuff to paint. But when they came out, evidently red was a more expensive color. And the firemen liked being proud of their equipment. Being proud of their truck was a big part of being in the fire department. Mm-hmm. So they were painted red. And then in the 60s, a group of optometrists in New York City came out and they did a report on the number of accidents that occurred between red vehicles and yellow, white, or lime vehicles. And they found that 3 times as many red trucks were involved as these lime greens. So starting in the 70s, they started painting in this sort of lime green, although you can do either one of them because now they have sirens and all this,
Right,
all this
right,
other stuff. So,
right.
and the biggest thing on the, why they stayed red in the middle was that Henry Ford started, making, black cars, and he only made black cars. There was only one color for cars, and it was black. But now, of course, we have cars that are many colors, and that wasn't such a feature. But in the beginning, it also, differentiated
The red from
fire
the
truck
black.
from the
The
black.
red from the black trucks. Interesting. I didn't, see, it was Ann Dana I was talking to this morning. That's who it was. I can't remember.
I
Thanks,
also
Ann.
heard that Henry Ford was a person who said a car can be any color as long as it's black.
Ah, spoken like a true entrepreneur.
Yes.
And then the Peterbilt, which was donated from Swartzwood. This is another thing where fire departments, like everybody, they get into fights. So Swartzwood got in a fight. There's a lot more to that story than I could even repeat or understand. And they then got kicked out. They're disbanded. They're not allowed to have it. And then whoever was nice to Swartzwood got the truck, not the fire companies that weren't nice to Swartzwood. So we got the truck. So another KME. And the Freightliner Rosenbauer, it's a pumper, it's in the garage now. Okay, so those are the trucks. I hope you enjoyed the trucks.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
How many do they still have?
4 plus the torpedo
And a Chiefs car.
and a Chiefs car. So there's a 4-bay garage. Each one is housed in one of those big trucks I showed you. And then the torpedo's way in the back, and the Chiefs car is the SUV that drives around, is in charge of the world. That's it. If that's there, you're in trouble. And then the firemen are always involved in something extra, always. So I don't know what was going on here, but this is an old picture, and this is Albert Davenport up at the top, Dutch Decker, Matt Clifford, and then in the front, Dean McNeely is leaning on the table. Seated is Tommy Decker, Willard Decker, the mayor, from the front, and then George Manata in the plaid on this far end. So they're doing something important. And okay, what truck is that that's they're in front of? Is that the Mac or the
Probably the Mac, because it's
or the Ward?
1948, right?
Say again?
What year is that?
Oh, I don't know.
It did say in here something.
Yeah. You know what? If the Mac was 1940, that's probably the Mac, because that's not a 1957.
No.
Those clothes are not from 1957. Just saying. Now these guys are in the old firehouse bay working on the Han, probably to get it all spiffed up for a parade. But it's the new and improved enhanced Han with the higher pump in the back and the brighter yellow. And I don't know who all that is either.
Looks like Jimmy Lance.
Jimmy who?
Jimmy Lance.
Jimmy Lance with
Back to
his
the-
sideburns?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Those sideburns are definitely 60s sideburns, early 70s. There's probably a leisure suit in there too. This is an older shot of a parade day. Now what I love about this, it's Gray's department store. Gray's where we got our Beatles 45s. And over on the corner of what is now the post office, right over the door it says Elf Ceramics, where I used to go with my brothers, and my mother said, go up, here's 50 cents, go do ceramics, get out of the house. We go and scrape up ceramics and paint them. And above it says the Time Hall Watch Repair. I never knew there was a watch repair place, but there it is. And of course there's the firemen. Let's not forget about the firemen going to the parade. They got the torpedo, the Mac and the Ward.
And the youngest one there in the front.
Who is that?
I wonder who that is.
I wouldn't even begin to know. But I'll tell you, this is such a great picture. And they've got their hats at a jaunty angle. They look great. I think this is early 60s. The building with the second story porch is the Van Houten building. It's before the laundromat got built. That got torn down and turned into the laundromat, which is now the Chinese restaurant. And the Drum Majorettes and the Park Place Hotel, packaged goods. It's a great shot. If I was a better historian and had a little bit more time, I still wouldn't have done it, but I could look up when the county parade was in Branchville, and then I would know exactly what year that was, but I didn't do it. Here's our chief, Dave Bathgate.
Yeah.
Dave, what car are you standing next to?
Huh?
What car are you standing next to?
Oh, 1962 Chevrolet.
1962 Chevrolet, so you can bet this is a 1962, 63.
No, 1972 I was
Oh, 72? Okay. All right. So there he is. And a classic. The coin tosses that they used to have out on, I actually drove past one in Sparta yesterday, but
Yes.
Parking themselves on the side of the road by Tess and Joe's,
Yeah.
and yeah, just waiting for people to throw money at them. This is Jerry Van Gordon in the red shirt smoking a cigarette,
Yeah.
and Joe Barthel in the yellow, I betcha. And I don't know, just sitting in the lawn chair with the yellow hat on. Is that wouldn't be Rusty Bellis? He's too young for that.
That's what I thought, but
Yeah, it kind of looks like him, but I don't think so. He doesn't fit into that age group. Now, I found this series again. I think I got this from Dave. There's a tug of war. I think that's Joe in the red shirt. And I don't know who everybody else is, but there's an old joke. Why do firemen wear red suspenders? To hold off their pants, keep their pants up. So there's a guy in red suspenders who's going to drop it. Not him. The red suspenders guy's right behind him. So this is a tug of war at Fireman's Day at the fair. And they shoot each other with water while they're doing tug of war. This is nuts. Watch. There he goes. And then that's where it's coming from. I just think that's crazy. Well, you firemen, you're always having lots of fun. And in 2010, they had a big 100-year anniversary, and those are the guys that were here at the time. And I can't tell you who everybody is, but some familiar faces. I see somebody in a wrestling sweatshirt, Justin Bellis. Wes Shelton is in the center with the book in front.
Gary Harris with a beard next to me.
Oh, yeah, Gary.
Gary Birdman.
Gary
Oh,
Harris.
yes.
Cunio's
John
over
White, John Weicker.
Cunio over
Tommy Cunio, Angel Bellis.
Who's Cunio? Where is
all the way
he?
to the left.
All the way to the left, he's right on the edge of the picture.
Down there at the
Yeah,
bottom?
Front row.
Yeah, front
Okay.
row on the table.
Okay. How about, is that Russ Bellis in the yellow shirt?
Yeah.
Big Russ? Yeah. It's a cool shot. So, what I like about it is young and old are there. I mean, it's
And there were people in that picture that weren't members any longer, but they were in the past.
so they got to
So
come
we
in.
invited them all.
Good.
Cool.
It really is. It's a great.
Young Russell Bellis in there too.
Where?
Yeah, young Russ was in there somewhere.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. The,
And then Rusty.
Russell number 3.
And Rusty's right behind him.
Russell poking his head out.
The red shirt.
Oh yeah. Yes, I see him. Okay. That's cool.
3 generations. Right?
That's great. It's really a big deal. And then on top of having lots of fun, they win lots of awards as firemen. They go to parades and they win stuff. They win stuff for the shiniest, most bestest truck. And fastest at taking the hoses out. I don't even know how a hose laying contest works, but anybody? They're not telling. They're not gonna give away any secrets. Their equipment is in good shape. Performance, and basically they have trophies sitting on the floor now because they have so many. Who built the trophy cases in the front?
What was his name? His parents used to own Bud's. Salusi?
Salucci, Tom Salucci.
Tom Salusi's the one that originally built.
Okay, and he built the bar, and he built I think he built the bar too. I think
Yeah,
Tony said.
that I'm not sure
Okay,
about. I know.
okay. But, so local talent, all around, local talent. And other stuff they do, they get involved in the community. This is before Mrs. Claus was on the truck, they had just Santa.
And that,
Before you could convince her to come out, they just had Santa.
I'm pretty sure in that picture Santa's Tony.
Santa's Tony.
And he is again sometimes.
So they do all kinds of cool stuff, the chicken barbecues, the clam bakes. I used to work at Clam Bake down when it was by days.
Yeah.
And one of the firemen told me they got the clams from the brook. I'm like, really? Yeah. We put them down there and put salt on them. I'm like, wow. And then this is something I didn't know. The 8th grade walk for Frankfurt School, the kids, when my son was in the 8th grade, they broke the rules and they started walking to school and they got in trouble. Then it turned into a thing where everybody went to Jimmy's Luncheonette and had breakfast, and then they would come down here. Well, now, once there was no luncheonette, the firehouse sponsors that. So those kids, the other day, I'm watching them walk down those troop cars at the front and the back. They came here and ate breakfast first, courtesy of the fire department, the host company, and then they walked to school. And they all had matching t-shirts on. They looked great. There's a new event sponsored by the host company, the Christmas Light Parade. This year, the Branchville Borough Historical Society will be submitting a float or a truck. Right, Lori? Where'd you go? Yep. She's gonna light it up. If you haven't seen Lori's house lit up, wait till you see this truck. You can always ask to get a tour of the facility. They know they're always happy to show off what they've got here. And this hall, we're not paying for it today, and this is a community service. Keith was telling me that sometimes when there's a repass and people are looking for a place to hold it, they donate this hall. Now, if somebody makes a donation back to them, fine, but they don't charge. So it's a very community-minded group of folks here.
Debbie, is that it? Can I add
Yes,
something?
yes.
The fire department is the nicest group of people to work with. They sponsor a gingerbread workshop here. It used to start with the Historical Society in different places, but they've done it for years. And they give the money for it themselves. We collect donations from people, but they add more. They also are up for anything that you can come up with that they think is gonna benefit. I can't say enough about how great they are helping with things.
I agree. I think the entire town, anybody, well, Kenny Mack was here for lunch the other day after the parade, so they avail themselves to so many different things for the community. They're really good. So yeah, that's it. 115 years. And I would like to say thanks to Dave. I'm so glad you could make it here. Thanks for the stories and thanks for the pictures. And Tony was very helpful. Obviously Kyle was, as I told you, he knows all the trucks and everybody else's truck. And Keith, thank you so much. Keith has made himself very available and made sure we had this space and it was in our best interest. And then the Historical Society. You guys do lots of good things to help these things work behind the scenes. So that's it. Bye.